just got real serious.
Good? Can I have everyone take a moment and close their eyes? Now I'd like for you to imagine that you are in complete darkness. And in this darkness, this is a time in your life when you're in your deepest and darkest place. It could be a tragedy, a loss, some kind of death, challenges, hardships, whatever it is the deepest place you have ever been. Now you can open your eyes. Today I have the honor of telling you how I went down this path, to the place that I was in my deepest and darkest place. I will share with you where I began, the foundation that I was raised on, and the journey that I took in order to find out who I truly was, and then the process of becoming who I am today, and how and why I believe that my faith is what gives me a purpose in life. So I grew up in a family where both of my parents were Christians. They raised my siblings and I on a foundation that was that had very strong convictions when it came to going to church every Sunday and Wednesday and having a relationship with God. They never forced it on us, but they always taught us that there was a God and that He loved us, and I knew that there was a God, but I didn't have a relationship with Him. So about my 8th grade year, I started to get a negative attitude towards the church, and I wanted nothing to do with the Bible. I didn't want a relationship with God, and I wanted to do my own thing. So I began to rebel, and I started to just seek the worldly things that I wanted. I began to drink, and I began to lie and to sneak out, and it just became something that just took over. I felt the lies that I was telling just start to weigh on my heart, and it came to a point where I didn't even know what the truth was anymore. I didn't know who I was because there were so many different lies, and I would act different around individuals. I would act different around my friends and my family, and especially people at church. And as I continued to go down this path, it just became darker around me, and I didn't have a purpose in life. I had this gaping hole in my heart that just could not be filled by the alcohol or anything. Or the friends that were around me that called them my friends, but weren't really there for me in times of need. And I just felt so alone. And then there was this tug on my heart that gradually started to pull me to the idea of just opening up the Bible and studying out what it said, because I really had never studied it out. I just heard the lessons in church. And so I began to open up the Bible and read the scriptures and start to apply them to my life. And I studied it out, and Psalm 119:105 says, "Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path." And I realized that this path of darkness that I was on, it led me to nowhere, and I had no purpose in life. And so I began to run towards the scriptures, and it says, "I run in the path of your commands because you have broadened my understanding." And I realized that my heart had been opened, and I had hit rock bottom, and I finally found that what I was living for was myself, and that gave me no purpose in life. And so I ran towards the scriptures, and since then I studied them out. And on August 21st of 2013, I was baptized, and I made Jesus Lord of my life. And it's since then that I have finally felt complete. That hole in my heart finally filled up, and it is because of that and because of the faith that I have that I believe that it is why I have a purpose in life. Thank you.